How to do market research for a business. I have done this a lot, and I'm going to tell you the 4 things you need to do to get started. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. All right, so good for you. You're thinking about starting a business and you're considering doing the market research. First and foremost, it has never been easier or safer to start a business, and you can do all of this before you actually start it. So I've actually written a whole book on that. We've got courses at Aspiring Solopreneur that talk about this and tell you exactly the step-by-steps and how to even frame the questions when you're doing these steps to build your business plan. But the first step as you dive into this is I'm going to encourage you to consider what your business is going to be. What is the product or service you're considering offering? And get it about 80% of the way there. What I mean by that is if you think conceptually this is kind of what I'm looking to do, but get it close. Don't make it perfect. There's a very specific reason I'm suggesting this. One of the primary reasons is that most people get wrapped around the axle. They get so tight worrying about the last 20% of what their business should look like, when maybe they end up making adjustments or they change that. So if you get like 80%, this is what I want to do. This is what I think I'm really good at. It's going to fit with my life. It's going to integrate well. This is going to be great. This is where I think I want to go, and I can adjust it. I can make it fancier. I can make it easier. I can make it wider. I can make it blue. Whatever the adjustments are. When you understand what the market is looking for, but when you're starting, get to roughly 80% conceptually what you think it's going to be. Once you have that, then I'm going to ask you to change hats and act as if you're a customer. If you think you're a potential customer, if you think, yeah, this is a business I want to do, okay, great, whatever that business may be, then I want you to transition and say, okay, if I was a customer, and think about it in a very different way. You're almost going split personality. What are the things that you're going to value? And how would you solve this problem? And then actually go out and try and solve it. And what I mean specifically when I mean go out and solve it is research it. How would you find it? Well, I guess I'd go to the internet. I'd start asking my friends. I'd go to the Yellow Pages, if they even have Yellow Pages anymore. But you go out and start solving it as if you needed that service. And then when you have that, when you have companies that are potential that are going to do this, start listing those companies out and call and talk to them still as if you're considering their service. Now, this isn't disingenuous. This is market research. When you do this, you're going to be able to hear what are the words they're using, what are the problems they're solving, how are they doing it, and then are there things that you can learn from this and actually maybe in some cases even do better or differently or find other gaps. So the first step is create ideally what the ideal concept you think is, understanding that you can customize the last 20% to really fit the niche once you start narrowing it down. The second piece is go out and try and solve it yourself and see what the words are. How are people using it? What are the pain points they're addressing? Who are they talking to? How are they solving this? And do this as if you're a customer. But then you can transition, and this is the third point, is ask them, hey, say, look, I'm considering actually doing this business myself. Would you be willing to talk to me? Now, this can be kind of scary because a lot of people are like, well, if I'm going to be their competition, why would they want to talk to me? You have to remember that for most entrepreneurs, the most beautiful sound is the sound of their own voice. Now, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, but I also started my first of 16 companies when I was 19. It's what I do. So I love it when somebody comes and says, hey, I like what you do. I'm interested. Can you tell me about it? Actually, most people will talk about it. Now, if they don't, let them go, move on to the next one. But when you do that, there's a whole series of questions, again, in the book and in the courses that you can start to ask. Yeah, right side up. That you can start to ask. It says, okay, so if you were in my shoes, what would you be looking for? What are the questions you'd be asking? What were the biggest lessons you learned? What do you know about the market? Where are there areas of the market that you don't serve that that if you were in my shoes might be good? you can even go so far as to say, hey, do you have any work that you don't like doing that maybe I could subcontract and start with for you? This is a great way actually to get started, to where maybe they have an overflow work and they only like doing the really big stuff and you're happy to come in and do some of the small mid-sized stuff. And it would allow them to say, yeah, you know what? Hell, kid, if you want to do this, we'll give you a couple of tests, but if it works out, yeah, I'll farm you out all this work and I want 10% back or whatever. As a referral fee. Fair enough. If you get that going, there's ways that you can do this to where it's ultimately, my objective in here is for people to never lose money when they start a business. How do you make it an absolute no-brainer that you do this? So, and that to me, if somebody says, yeah, look, I'm willing to give you, your current salary's worth of work over here and you can cover it. If you can do the work, that'd be great. Off to the races. Now, the last thing that you can do when you're really trying to figure out, or what are the first steps in this marketing research, is if you know people who may need the product or service, start making an approach to them. But not the approach to sell them, but to get their feedback. Very, very different feel when you do that. If you come to me and you're trying to sell me, and you say, oh yeah, I just want your feedback, but hopefully you'll buy something from me, I'm going to sense that, it'll piss me off, and I'll put a guard up. But if you come to me with a genuine sense and say, hey, Kluver, would you help me? I'd love to get your feedback on this particular business, and this is how I'm doing it. Again, we talk about it in the book, the specific questions you ask and how you approach people with it. But it is a beautiful thing when you go and say, like, yeah, so if you were in my shoes, how would you be asking? It's like, well, I'd like this, but I wish it were taller or longer or different, or I wish you would do it in the morning or instead the evening, or who knows what it is. But start digging in on that. And when you do that, but you do it with a genuine sense, I want to learn how to do this better, this is a whole nother source of potential clients. And they'll come back and say, yeah, and you know what? If you get that going, I'd be happy to work with you. I'd like to bring that on. You'll have that more than you think. And again, you can do all this with almost no money or no money at all and start figuring out what it looks like, but you can test and vet that idea. Now, we also talk about in the Aspiring Solopreneur how you go through and we talk about financing. We talk about how to build a great team of advisors that you can do for free, starting with a great small business accountant, small business attorney, small business banker, small business insurance person. But how can you figure it out and smoke all this stuff out to decide, yeah, man, this is a no-brainer, I should do this. But this to me are some of the first steps when it comes to marketing research. So if you found value in this, cool. I appreciate you investing the time and sitting there and listening to me. Please feel free to subscribe, check out some of the other channels, or you can go to aspiringsolopreneur.com, check out our course. If you're thinking of starting a business, I can't recommend it enough. Keep smiling.